Hello, my name is Lars.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Corey.
Today we are presenting our analysis of data taken from the spiral galaxy NGC 6814. This grand design spiral galaxy is oriented nearly face on, which gives us a really beautiful view of its spiral arms and its bright galactic core. While pretty pictures are what initially sort of piqued our interest in NGC 6814, we did soon find that it's an important galaxy to astronomical research on top of its eye-catching shape and structure. We chose to get our data from two separate datasets, which were used in one major paper, a Cepheid-based distance to the Seyfert galaxy, NGC 6814, by Misty C. Bensetter team. A little background on this paper here. In 1908, Henrietta Leavitt, who's pictured here, discovered this revolutionary relationship between the period of the oscillations in brightness of Cepheid variable stars and the absolute magnitude of these stars. In the paper that uses our datasets, Benson and her team identified about 90 Cepheids in NGC 6814 and used this period luminosity relationship to solve for the absolute magnitude of these stars. They then used something from Astronomy 302 called the distance modulus to determine the first accurate estimate of distance between Earth and NGC 6814, and this result is displayed on the screen here. Our main goal in observing the source is to see what the visual data we're given can tell us about the galaxy itself. Although we were ambitious at first, we realized after reading the Benz paper that calculating things like mass, distance, or absolute magnitude may be too difficult to measure without telescope access, and we're probably beyond the scope of the course. However, we thought it would be interesting to compare the difference in counts between two datasets that are observing at different wavelengths. This let us know what type of light is most commonly produced in our galaxy, which could give us some insight as to what types of objects it contains.
So our data sets were observed with the Wide Field Camera 3 on board the Hubble Space Telescope, which can view objects in both the visible spectrum and a portion of the infrared. Our two data sets were obtained from MASS right here. And we chose these two data sets because each were taken with different filters. So the one on the left, the IBY 11-2010, had the F555W filter on it, and the one on the right, the F814W, or the IBY 11-2020 had the F814W filter on it. And Corey will go over how and why each of these are different, but first I'm going to go over what we did with the data sets. So as you can see, we placed these equally sized bins across the galaxy at the same right ascension and the same declination in each data set, with the blue bin being the center of the galaxy. The purpose of the bins is to measure the counts or the brightness within each of those bins. So by combining the distance in arc seconds, each bin is from the center of the galaxy, and the counts per minute, which was made by us taking the total counts in a bin and dividing by the total exposure time in minutes, we get these graphs here for each data set.
Moving on to the analysis section of this paper or presentation, we examined the throughputs of the filters used to obtain the data sets we studied. In both of these plots, the percentage throughput of the filter is on the y-axis and the wavelength is on the x-axis. It is important to note that the filters used here are wideband filters that encompass large ranges of wavelengths, as opposed to data sets that are directly compared to each other, how they typically employ narrowband filters to determine a color index, such as a B-V color index used to determine temperature of a star. However, since the F555W visible filter and F814W infrared filter have similar throughputs, we can obtain at least a rough comparison of infrared versus visible emission in the galaxy. In the next plot, we showcase the difference in count rate between the two images. Here it's IBY 11-2020 minus the counts of IBY 11-2010. In particular, each point on the plot represents that count rate difference for one of the regions or bins that Will discussed. While most of the data points in this figure suggest that the outer regions of NGC 6814 emit more infrared light than visible light, there's a different trend near the galactic core. At around 2 × 10⁻³ arc seconds from the center, the bright regions near the galactic core have a negative infrared minus visible count rate difference, meaning these regions emit more visible light than infrared. The central bin, shown by a blue circle in that image and pointed to by the red arrow, had the most drastic difference in count rate. The bright central bulge of the galaxy emits much more visible than infrared light. Relating this all back to Astronomy 302, Wien's law, which we learned about, tells us that wavelength is inversely proportional to temperature, while the black body curve tells us that hotter and brighter objects have peak wavelengths in the visible spectrum. Well, thanks. That's all for this presentation. So thanks for watching.
Thank you.